What is automated buildings? For one, it's a library where valuable content is carefully curated and delivered to the public for free. It represents a repository of information that gives historical context to current issues. But it's also an active forum of new ideas, a digital space where ideas are presented, challenged, scrutinized, and adapted. Therefore, automated buildings both preserves and creates knowledge for our industry.
Ken and I launched our online magazine 25 years ago. Since then, Automated Buildings has far exceeded our vision.
In our original mission statement, we expressed our desire to connect to change agents who were helping define the smarter buildings. We wanted to build a searchable platform that facilitated discussion and business opportunities. Today's institutions, like Automated Buildings, are more important than ever. In a world where authority and fact are increasingly questioned, having a credible source of information is essential. Widespread distrust weakens progress and collective action, two principles in high demand today given the challenges we face as an industry. Within this context, Automated Buildings stands as a bearer of trust, truth, and knowledge, values made possible only through the insight and support of our sponsors and contributing editors. But while our values will never change, our strategies must evolve to meet these new challenges and opportunities. That is why on our 25th anniversary, I'm announcing the formation of a new Automated Buildings editorial board.
This board will continue the serious work of managing, curating, and promoting authoritative content for the industry. It will keep Automated Buildings free, accessible, flexible, relevant, and available anywhere, anytime. Spreading these responsibilities among board members will mean drawing from a broader mix of skills, knowledge, and experiences. This diversity of opinion and ideas will support Automated Buildings into the future. For like our industry, our success depends on strong relationships and perspectives. This editorial board will reflect and uphold these same values.
As we transition Automated Buildings into this next phase, the change also reflects a shift in our industry. New technologies like AI and digital twins are revolutionizing how buildings function. Change itself is accelerating. Such rapid advancements present a unique problem. We must also disseminate information faster and more efficiently. Therefore, it is not only our buildings that need to integrate. We too must continue to form new relationships so that data and ideas can flow freely among us. It is the role of institutions like Automated Buildings to facilitate such personal and professional connections.
AutomatedBuildings.com has been a guiding light of new knowledge for people in an industry that is shy to share its value with the world. People make buildings smart, and AutomatedBuildings.com has the unique responsibility to provide an open platform for sharing and collaboration. As new generations enter the smart building arena, they'll need that freedom to share these thoughts and ideas they bring, and Automated Buildings will be there. When progressive individuals want to test their theory or their idea with smart building peer groups, Automated Buildings will be there. The advancement of technology in buildings will continue to challenge and evolve the industry around us. And just like it has been for the last 25 years, AutomatedBuildings.com will be there.
Automated Buildings must continue to be that place where opinion meets facts, where authority is heard and questioned, a public square where idealistic visions collide with practical ideas, a furnace of ideas fueling the Automated Buildings industry. These spaces are essential to keep the flame of innovation burning for this generation to the next.
with that, let me turn it over to the man himself, Mr. Ken Sinclair.
Thank you. Because I'm getting old, I'm going to take a couple of quick looks at my phone here to remember what I'm talking about. But anyway, I spent 50 years in the automation industry, 25 of that with automated buildings. And it became crystal clear that if I was going to continue this on, I was going to need help. So I basically, you can tell I need help. We needed to reformat what we were doing and basically start to end up, man, I'm going to have to read this. It's falling apart. Yeah, so the next 50 years are going to be hard without your help. We now see a need to create a new way to usher us all into this new era. AB was started in 1999 out of the ashes of our first crash and burn, Environmentation Services. This company was created to automate home and start the work from home movement, trading your car for a laptop. How hard could that be in the mid-1990s? We had modems, and we've been doing it since 1975 as SES. Makes me smile to see that we're still struggling to make that happen. During the late 1990s, my eldest daughter, who had found an Australian and become Australian, was working in San Francisco at the Silicon Valley, a search engine personalization company, and a music personalization company and a search engine company. You have to kind of keep focused. This was actually before Google. I was fascinated with her mentorship, and she'll tell you more about her journey when she speaks. But again, rapid change is again upon us, fueling cloud thinking and AI. The new era is evolving rapidly on top of what we've created, generating a deep need to understand why we did what we did, because we get to do it all over again. We need an information delivery mechanism that operates at cloud speed that can be fueled by many. Before our reinvention of over 18 months ago, I asked the industry what to do with our industry interactions and history collection. They advised me, turn it over to my people. I thought, who are my people? Jane and I had started AB 25 years ago, but who were my people? My people were those who had created an online collection of industry thought. You, the people in this room. The reinvention of AB was required. We needed guidance, so we got together with our trusted advisors. My daughter Carrie made the observation that what we had so far looked most like a community online library. And if my people were going to carry on the original intention of shared thought, the reinvention should allow my people to keep creating their own posts using not just the words, but the videos, PDFs, the links, the messaging of the moment. Our cloud designers seemed to understand what we needed better than we did. Thank you very much, Aaron. Let my people sign on with their brand managers skilled in posting in their own depictions the powerful social media of the moment, which is organized by time, not content, for the community. We needed to take the cloud and the reinvention of the original website. A place for building automation to communicate a change, a place where they could all write on the wall, paint the sky with the media of the moment. We had moved from words to pictures, and from pictures to videos. And if a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video can be life-changing. In the midst of that, we started an organization. Mark Peacock was here, one of our speakers earlier this morning, and we had to share a cab coming out of Chicago, and we're trying to figure out what to call the industry. Excuse me. We kind of figured that the only thing we all do that is common is we connect stuff. We connect sensors, we connect people. So we called ourselves a connection community collaboratory. And that was the very first meeting we had where we actually brought multiple vendors and people into the same room to actually describe themselves as a community. So I think that was a significant milestone along our path. A place where our 25-year history is depicted with visual timelines. If that didn't make sense, I jumped over one piece, that's what happened. The power and speed of collaboration of a purpose-built cloud community was amazing. What we found is that we were starved in the industry for people. And if we reached out to the actual people in the industry and re-employed them in a community effort, such as supporting a community library, we could keep the lights and heat on with having them put a brick on the wall. And then if they actually posted their own information, it would actually increase the speed of getting information. Before the new model was created, which has now been running for about 18 months, we put out an issue every month. Now we put out an issue, or we put out postings sometimes within hours, mostly within days. So our speed to communication has greatly increased. And I think that's important because everything's moving really fast. And I think the whole media message is changing. I've had a discussion with one of our editors I set up, and he's kind of pushing me, can't wait to write, he's got writer's block, and I said, don't write, just hold up your cell phone and basically tell me what you just told me, and you can put a paragraph on top to tell me what you're talking about, and that's your post, and that's useful information to the industry. And I think we've seen more and more. That kind of brings up the issue as well, why wouldn't I just do that on social media? And social media is an amazing vehicle, but the only problem with social media is it's time sensitive. So once you post things on it, there's this great bloom of information and everybody gets it. We even get some great interactions. And then I challenge you to try and find that again. If you can't remember who posted it, you're probably not going to be able to find it. So what we feel is there's a need to have in the community library a content-driven library. So for the whole 25 years, I worked hard at trying to get all the major players in the industry on the same page. And I'm proud that our session this year is the closest we've ever come. We had like 55 speakers, and thank you very much, Copper and Supply, for making that happen and never faltering in supply and support. Unbelievable. In my script, it says, we're going to the show video now. So that shows you how far I'm at. But at this point, I'd like to introduce my daughter, Carrie from Australia. And I have to add some clarity here because I have two daughters. Carrie is the eldest and Kelly is the youngest. And Kelly is our brand manager on the website. So everybody meets and they say, oh, you're Kelly. And worse to that, her badge says she's from Sydney. Sydney, Canada, not Sydney, Australia. She actually lives in Melbourne. But I'd like her to just chat a little bit about what she was doing when we were forming automated buildings, because she did inspire me a lot. She would come over to San Francisco and we would go down because when she lives in Australia and we live in Canada, San Francisco was middle ground. So it was, if you come to San Francisco, we'll come down and see you. So you want to pick it up from there?
Sure, thanks. Thank you everyone for your attendance. Like many, well, just quickly start that there's a yogi saying that every step that you take is the reason, in the past is the reason you are here today. And I sort of believe that. I've been asked, how do you get to do what I've done? I go, I just went out and took a step. So I didn't mean to be here, but other than being Ken's daughter, I've taken a lot of steps that have, I guess is why I'm here now. And part of that, like many children that finish leave university, is to get away as far as possible from your parents. No, not really. I had an opportunity to go to Australia, and I took it, and was very lucky to follow into management consultancy, and this is in the mid-90s, where all the media companies were struggling with the internet. And they said, you know, what are their business models with the internet? I was fortunate enough to work with Reader's Digest, who was really struggling with what does the next Reader's Digest look like. They invested in a startup, which was one of the first search engines, and its whole purpose was to build content because there was no search engine. So they had editors that would pull content together, you know, so a veterinarian would go through the internet and look at all the best pet sites and then group them up for you, and then you'd go like folder structure through the internet and be able to find all this content. And again, this was 5 years before Google. And so that's when, that was 1997. I was living in the US, running, I was head of operations for this business. And we listed that year. And we were then, at that time, we were Microsoft's search engine. And so Microsoft and all the ISPs had found out that they had a real problem because they couldn't connect people to the internet and then have them sit there and look at a blank screen. Because, you know, we're dialing up on AOL, right? So this is kind of like what I was doing as I was going, you know, I was always a big person thinking about the content. I then went and started my own company, which Dad references music personalization, which is an early version of Spotify, my sister worked at Spotify, which was really, again, when the music left a physical device, how did you find it? And we ended up selling our technology to Microsoft as well. And then through that acquisition, I wasn't able to work for software companies, so I went into telco. I went into putting telematics into cars. Basically, the button that you would push in the mirror back in the early 2000s to get service. I did that for Australian cars called Holden, and then went into telco myself. So it was in wholesale fiber rollouts for the building of DSLAMs and all of the internet that was being acquired. Then went into construction collaboration software, which was then where I started to become a collaborator with automated buildings. Because what we were doing is building document control for multiple people on projects, so they always had the right document to use. And as we found when we started to hand over to building owners and facility managers, they were getting a point in time document that was often wrong. So you would go to service the chiller unit, and it would actually not be the right document for that chiller. It wouldn't be the right model. And it would be in a piece of paper somewhere. And I remember saying to my dad, but they're in the bottom of a building somewhere. And he goes, yes, you know. But we were trying to digitize all of that. And so I started being contributing to automated buildings at that point around operations and manuals and how you digitize them and how people interact with them. We had tools where you could interact with in the building, you could find the chiller unit that you were standing in front of with your phone and actually bring it all up and see it at the time. I then left all my operating roles and went and became an investor. I started investing in different businesses, and I've been across investing in the cybersecurity identity business and cloud hybrid, which I've just exited. I'm in an agricultural grain business that is using IoT sensors on the weigh bridges to actually track grain across the supply chain. And I'm also in an additive manufacturing company that's doing metal tooling on the front line in the Ukraine. We have 10 printers over there at the moment. So I have a very, like my dad, I think a little bit different, got a very, I guess, background of really trying to understand the future and where things are going. And I'm quite interested in kind of the deep technology of what I call shardware. So I started as a software girl, but I think software, you know, the problem with software is a famous venture capitalist, Mark Andreessen, who says software will eat the world. The problem is software is eating itself. And I really feel the next thing is the connection with the devices, which is why I call it shardware, because it's not just software, it's now software and hardware. And that's where I think this industry is really starting to take off, and it's becoming, you know, it's always been exciting through controlled controls and documents and platforms. Now I think it's actually going to be bringing them all together. So Dad and I've always challenged my father. Unfortunately, the biggest benefit of being an eldest daughter is that's our eldest children, I think, do tend to challenge their parents a little bit about where he was taking automated buildings, and then it got to a point where he said, got to come and help be a part of this. And so I was at a point where I've been able to work with Scott and Brad over the last couple of years to kind of bring this new model. And now I guess the point of the editorial board, and I guess my role as chair, is to kind of protect the legacy of what my mom and dad have done and keep it the way it is and not get sold out to somebody who just wants to try to buy and change it. But also really think about the future, how we get young people in. The other thing Dad reminded me is that I've been a presence on the website when it was monthly in March for International Women's Day. I have a very strong background supporting female entrepreneurs because there's not a lot of support, and unfortunately venture capital goes to a very small amount of women. So again, that's one of the things I think is really important, is bringing more women into the industry and ensuring that we've got diversity not only in age, in backgrounds, and making it, again, that at the beginning, that step that everyone takes to get, how do we get every step they take and lead them up here, because it's the right journey for them to be in this wonderful community and be part of this great opportunity. So that's all I
wish I'd said that. Actually, for everybody here at Carrie's wedding in Australia, I stood up and I said, when I grow up, I'm going to be just like Carrie.
He also stood on my wedding dress as I went by. He tore it off. He did, so it's a bit of a family fun too. So I want to just, many of you may have seen Brad this morning. Brad's been awesome, I guess, person as part of working this out. Let's see what you want to say.
Sure. Thanks, Carrie and Ken. So the company that I work for and have worked for the last 15 years, you heard Ken reference SES. Well, I also work for SES, a company that I've been building over the last 15 years together with Scott's nephew. So I may not be a Sinclair, but I consider them family at this point.
Yes.
I have been surrounded by Sinclairs for almost my entire professional career, for better or for worse. But I feel like I've really grown up around automated buildings, and sort of very shortly after I started doing this work as a consultant, I was introduced to Ken, and Ken's been a mentor to me ever since. I think initially I understood maybe 5% of what he was trying to tell me, and then I think 10%. I think now I'm probably up to about 25%.
Actually, the tables are reversed. I understand what you're talking
about. And Ken very quickly started, not only getting me to read the magazine, so you got to read the magazine, and then, started dragging me to events. I think one of the first ones that was Connectivity Week, that some of you probably know Anto. And, that was sort of part of my first journey into, realizing the world was a lot bigger than I thought in this industry. And then other events, Realcomm, and of course, AHR. And I think that exposure to the ideas and the people in this industry that came through that automated buildings community, I credit that with being a huge part of why I've been able to be successful in this industry. So, I think the importance of seeing this continue as an entity for, as long as we can make it continue, I think it is of vital importance for not only, all of us here who value it, but, all the people coming behind us. And I always get our staff, new hires, I tell them, go re-automate buildings. You want to know what's going on? Re-automate buildings. Get inspired by all the cool stuff that's happening. And, now I'm starting to drag my, people that I work with here, in the hopes that the same thing will happen to them, is that they'll get exposed to some of these ideas and be inspired. So I'm honored and really grateful to get to be a part of sort of whatever the next chapter of automated buildings is. And hard to say what it 15, 20 years from now what it's going to look like, but I think it's going to be great. And I think that as a board, starting out as the four of us, and I think eventually growing it to include other people. I think we'll make it something great. And so, thank you all for being part of the journey over the last 25 years. And here's to another 25 years.
Actually, in that, I think you reminded me of Anto, because between Anto and Sinclair that you guys worked out the Young Energy, and we had that program. And for your Connectivity Week, we actually promoed, I think 4 or 5, 6 students, and Brad was one of them. Albert was another one. The other ones were all in energy, but they've kind of gone off in a different direction. So but there you go, we're basically back at that same thing, trying to get people into the industry, but it does work, but look how long that cycle might be. So you've been at SES for 15 years?
15, yeah.
15 years. And I started the original SES in 1975, and we were basically defining what is a DDC system. We created the first DDC system as consultants. So yeah, so it's been a while. It's been a journey. There's a lot of education. The people in the room here and the people that aren't in the room that support us are just amazing, and that's why it's here. And what we think we've done is we think we've created a vehicle that can be managed. Well, I guess simply, it's going to take at least 4 people to replace me.
At least.
Scott and I were making a joke. He's not going anywhere. That's the problem.
Yeah, but it keeps stalling. What am I talking about?
Lots of runway. So.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
I'll just.
You always have to do all the work. Oh, the only one I wanted to, just before Scott starts to talk, is the model is working. So what another vision we have is that this will be a cloud community library for the industry, by the industry. And the industry will participate in it and make it go. So I think in physical terms, we supply the library. We keep the lights and the lights and the heating on in the library. That's what Automated Buildings does. The people who support it put their bricks on the wall, and basically they got 3 ways they can put their brick on the wall. They can come on as a contributing editor, or they can come on as super people like Cochran, who basically produced the whole show. Brian Collins, who produced that video. Well done, Brian, thank you very much. AHR gives us these rooms, and has given us even a ballroom to serve our reception. They've been doing that for 25 years. So I think what you're kind of seeing is there's a giving community that we're latched into, and I think that's really important. And what I've noticed is the time to get things done, working with sponsors, is just way less than trying to employ somebody. If you employ somebody to do it, you have to train them to try and get enough knowledge to talk to what you're trying to do. People in our industry know what it is we're doing, so we can actually have them go and they can just pick up, as Brian did. So Brian, when I read Brian's presentation video, it's like, oh yeah, that's what we do. And you know, it was basically just seeing it from somebody else's perception, but them understanding why Automated Buildings was there. So I think we all have to reach out and encourage other sponsors to pick up a piece of the crusade. I think that's really what it is. It's like a crusade. All trying to put it together. We've got a good start. I didn't mention too much about our history. We still have all 25 years online. And I think that's a very good message to spread to the people, is we're all looking for future-proof. And here we are, 25 years later, and the very first article published in 1999 on Automated Buildings is still online. In fact, another thing I didn't mention is before Automated Buildings, Jane and I were working as consultants, and we wrote the first online request for proposal for client comfort systems. And it was a full document, complete with systems and points lists. And basically what we were doing is we were having trouble getting pneumatic people to move to DDC. And we felt the only way we could do that was to make it so easy that we become the easiest way to do it. So we put it online in the mid-1990s. We had this whole DDC, it's still online. And to me, that's just an amazing message to the industry. If you want permanency, put it in the cloud. I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. Well done.
That's your turn, Frank.
Did you guys get all that? So just to summarize, first and foremost, it's been a pleasure working with this panel, this board. We went on a journey together. Maybe, I don't know, what was it? Just post-COVID, maybe we started.
I was in Detroit.
Yes.
At the Rapid.
Yeah.
Big automotive manufacturing, and that was the first conference outside of COVID.
Yeah. So we've been working on this for quite a while, and you know, we mentioned the goals that we started with. You know, first thing is we all know there's a huge value to automatedbuildings.com. I have almost 30 years in the industry. I started reading it the day it came out, and I've always been a technology snob. So it's been just a wonderful place for me to hear free thinkers share what they're thinking about our business. And in our industry, in the BAS industry, we're a small group. And there's very few things that support us as a community. And in my eyes, automated buildings is the most important thing we have as a community. And that's what we're trying to do, is to make it yours, the community's. And so we keep working towards that. We're going to keep working on it.
Super.
And it's really now, with the way it's set up, just so you all know, it's up to you to make the content that will drive it going forward. As Ken said, content can come from anywhere now. And again, anything that goes up there, it becomes a repository for the industry. You want to leave your legacy somewhere, we plan to keep it there for you, right? So we look forward to more contributions from more people, trying to get more people involved, and it's especially the way, I know we didn't talk about it, the way the economy is in the U.S. for the building automation industry, the way cybersecurity is starting to attack our infrastructure like we've never seen before, the way people are coming into the industry without the proper tools or capabilities. To say we have some challenges coming up the next couple of years is a bit of an understatement. And we're going to need communication to get through this together. And again, automated buildings is going to be there for that, right? And that's what our plan is. So,
Great question.
Greg, some bad
question? Yes, Scott, for people who may not be familiar, what's the quickest and easiest way for them to contribute to the site?
Good question.
Okay, well, obviously as a sponsor, because then you help keep the lights on and you get your name in the brick. And I think we do a reasonable job of promoting our sponsors, and so it's just part of being part of that. But with that, you get a sign-on, and you get your own little piece of the editor. You can jump on and you can edit anything you want, and comes through, and then I just take a look at it, make sure you have something bad about me, and I click on it and it goes through. So where we had a monthly issue before, we're now getting stuff out within hours. Typically it's within days or something like that. Actually, Brian Collins, would you speak, one thing I want you to speak to, you can say anything you want, but I would like you to talk about the power of short media and stuff, because you wrote some powerful articles about that, and you've demonstrated that with some of the stuff you've done, and you've also done some interviews, and so maybe just talk about how dynamic the industry has become. We used to publish words, and now more and more it's starting to be videos. If you take a look at what Joseph has done in putting together the program, and how he's linked videos from his speakers. So the speaker only has so many minutes to speak, but you can watch the video. And first of all, we use the video to create the desire for you to come and listen to the speaker. And then secondly, it allows him to have extra time to get his message across. And thirdly, it gets included with the video, so it becomes documentation. Anything we can do in time, and we're a terrible industry for documenting stuff. So if in fact you put a little blurb on there, and it's there, and because we're sorted by content, so when you come to the site, if you click on somebody's face, he's a contributing editor, it takes you to everything he's written. If you click on a sponsor, it takes you to all of their posts. So we've organized things by people and companies. Now back to you, Brian. Can you just give us your shots? Stand up, you stand up, man. Want to come up here on speaker? Yeah, come on. You've had a big involvement in this. And I've never met Brian before he started interacting with automated buildings. So that's interesting. He's kind of one of the unusual people that I didn't know.
So I think that it's obvious that short form, whether it's video or just microblogging or something like that, is becoming more and more prevalent, right? Especially if we want to extend our reach outside the industry itself to get the general public. Because and that's a sort of a strategy that I've promoted to get buy-in from everyone. As a marketer, which is what I do, I think that you sort of need to work from the bottom up. A lot of times we spend time talking to one another, and it's important to tell other people what it is we do, because it is very important, right? And it's an invisible industry, because often people don't know anything's wrong with the building until the air conditioning stops, right? And so in order to reach a broader public, I think that short form is invaluable to us. And it is relatively new, and it's something that we kind of have to, try really hard to adopt. But short video form is just sort of king now. And it just goes a long way into engaging every audience, because it's almost like
short is short.
What?
How short is short?
Oh, sure. Well, it just depends. It depends, right? I was going to say the quote about the skirt, but short enough to be interesting, but long enough to cover the subject. Yeah, I mean, it just depends on. It's almost like we're running two extremes. I mean, people say, well, we have a very short attention span. Well, that's not true at all. If people can sit and watch and binge Game of Thrones for 2 days, right? People will sit and they will watch good content, right? But they also like something that's very, very short. It just depends on what it is that you're trying to communicate. And so I would advocate to use every tool in your toolbox, and it just depends on what you're trying to do. And to reuse content, to make the thing that you can do is make longer form content and then chop that up into smaller pieces. That's a great strategy, marketing strategy. But I think that it just broadens our appeal to short form. It keeps us, trending. It keeps us part of the conversation, because we can write things, and if they're too long and people are going to overlook them, we might as well not have written. So I think it keeps us part of the conversation by saying, we're here, we understand this, we're relevant, because form is part of the message. And sometimes it's the most important part of the message, and you have to sort of look the part. So
that's good. No, that's great. That's great. And I think Scott pointed that out in the early reinvention, how important it was to get some of these new media forms in. And I think the other thing is it's pretty darn easy to do the video. It's probably easier to do the video if you happen to go to a conference and there's a real good point. If you actually did that and had a little bit of a talk and put it on there, roots people to that thing. We're not trying to keep people inside automated buildings. We're actually trying to connect people that are in automated buildings to anything. So you'll find links. I'll actually jump out the link, which is any publication is like a suicidal thing, but I jump out to somebody who is in our industry that is posting on LinkedIn, and there's an interesting discussion that you're worth reading. And so that the whole interaction with social media, I'm not convinced I've got it figured out. We're still in reinvention. We've got some more reinvention people coming in, so I think we'll do better, but we'll keep working on it.
And Ken is dialed in. I can tell you that. Totally dialed in to what's going on today. And one other thing to Greg's question about if you're interested in publishing in automated buildings and you're not a sponsor, reach out to Ken. And he'll be more than happy to work with you to help you find a way to participate within the magazine. Is that correct, Ken? Is that fair?
Yeah.
And a lot of people do reach out to you from time to time and ask how can they participate.
Correct. And the other thing is we are supporting some great movements in the industry that that we're basically providing them a pro bono kind of thing because we believe in them. Jules and Stack would be an example of that. And there's the apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Well, I think, Ken, what you always said is, if someone wants to participate, write me an article.
Yep, that's exactly how he's participating. But now it's make me a video. So, and just real quick, special thanks to the Cochrane team. I get a lot of credit, but Aaron Rickle right there, thank you, Aaron. Aaron did most of the development work on the new website. He did a fantastic job. He's one of Ken Sinclair's favorite people of all time now. And I'd also like to thank Joe Guzman. I mean, they say I produce it. Look, this is the guy right here. He doesn't like it, but good job, Joe. Thank you, guys. Thanks, my Cochrane people, for your hard effort. So we appreciate it. And so with that, are we ready to go?
I think so.
We good? Okay, so this ends our celebration presentation. And next, Ken has decided to buy you all lunch. So the lunchroom is, if you go out this door and you go to the right, we're in S406. It's a little walk you can see around the corner, and then that's where we'll be joining each other for some pizza and some drinks. So thank you all for being here, and we'll see you all at the pizza party. Thank you.